Hi, it's Marlowe here. I'm still here. It's day 4. And if you're looking for the videos for days 2 and for days 3, don't waste your time. I haven't done them. It's just been exhausting. The drive has been a lot more draining than what I expected. I know the first day was going to be really big, and the second day wasn't meant to be as big, but there were a lot of roadworks in progress, so there was a lot of slow periods and a lot of stopping and waiting. Plus Twiggy and I had to have a lot of rest breaks, just to stretch the legs and to ungrip the hands. I didn't realise how tightly I gripped the steering wheel, especially on the first day. Some years ago, I discovered I started having anxiety attacks with long-distance driving, and I was I wasn't driving really well. I was driving very nervously, very reactively, and didn't make for a smooth ride. And honestly, I didn't know if that was still going to be the case in my long ride. But I'm very happy to say that it hasn't surfaced. And I do have a lot of symbols of the goddess and sacred feminine around me in my car, and I invite that energy to be there with me, to guide me, to protect me, to encourage me to rest when I need to rest. So I feel quite a bit safe, quite a bit safer, playing goddess music as I'm driving. So I'm feeling very, I guess, fortified with this energy, and that's helped. But I've got to loosen that grip on the steering wheel. I think the longer I keep driving, the easier it'll be. So yesterday I was driving into the city where I grew up, Brisbane, and as I was driving into, say, a 200-kilometre radius of this city, I started remembering a lot of the place names, and it took me back to the time in my young adulthood when you would go for a drive with your boyfriend. Okay, so it reminded me of a lot of failed romances, experimental romances. So they were kind of like bittersweet memories. And I really felt like I was revisiting my past, going back into my past to move through it and beyond it. And the destination here in the destination here in Brisbane was with one of my sisters. She's daughter number 3 out of daughter number 5, and remember, I'm daughter number 1. My mother always invoked that sort of Chinese naming of us when she was feeling humorous. Anyway, so I've driven 1,200 kilometres in 3 days. A lot of roadworks, as I said, but the hotels that we've been staying in have been very pleasant and very dog-friendly, and it's been a joy to stay there. The day before yesterday, we were on a beach. The hotel was right on the beach at a place called Harvey Bay. A very pretty place, and Twiggy just loved the beach. So it's very fortunate that where we're going to in Tasmania, there's a beach within walking distance, and I guess we'll be down there a lot, but I think it will be a lot colder down there because the waters are coming straight up from the Antarctic. So as I'm driving, I'm trying to break some habits. The first one being the coffee habit. I used to enjoy a couple of cups of strong brewed coffee every morning, but I want to give that away, make it more as a matter of preference rather than a matter of habit. I'm hesitant to say the word addiction because that implies that it's got a grip over me, and I'm not ready to own that yet. But and another one is not eating in the car. I won't eat in the car. If I'm going to be eating, it will be in a very pleasant situation, surroundings. And I had some dramas with this iPhone, the one that I'm recording on now. Excuse me. Particularly in relation to spoken navigation to help me get to a place, because I'm not travelling with maps. I'm totally relying on my iPhone apps to get me where I want to go. Anyway, so playing with Google Maps, and I went through an experimental run before I left home, and yes, it would talk to me. But then when we got into our first destination, it was coming on dark, and I couldn't find the place, and I needed this thing to talk to me. And it didn't, and I couldn't get it to work, and it was really frustrating, and I was driving around in circles and going back up the highway in the wrong direction and finding a place to turn around at speed in the dark with roadworks. Anyway, so it took me about almost an hour to wind my way backwards and forwards, and I ended up relying on the visual mapping system. Anyway, so then for the next destination, I tried Siri, the helper that's within the iPhone system, and apparently I need to improve my diction a lot, even though she is programmed to respond to Australian voices, but I still need to improve my diction a lot. Anyway, not the day before yesterday, when we went to the beach town, Siri helped me get there. So I thought, this is great. Now please work tomorrow when I'm coming into Brisbane, because I haven't been in this city for about 20 years, and it's vastly different. The road systems are vastly different from how I used to drive on them as a young woman. And Siri didn't work for me. Anyway, so following the main roads, just following the signage to the pocket of the city where I needed to be, I then pulled over and really put in the address, and I did both Google Map and Siri. Anyway, I thought I'd done Siri earlier, and I thought, yeah, she's closed down. She's not talking to me. Maybe I can get some joy from Google Maps. Anyway, I start driving through the suburb, and they both start talking at me. One's a male voice, Google Maps, and one's a female voice, Siri. And they're both trying to tell me at the same time the directions that I needed to go and when I needed to turn. And fortunately, they're both in agreement. But they would often interrupt each other. At one point, I thought they might almost start arguing. But anyway, so that was really funny. So I don't really need Siri now or Google Maps until I get to my next sister, who's next weekend in a place called Canberra, which is the nation's capital. Brisbane is just the state capital of my state. And yeah, it's 1,200 kilometres away from the regional town where I was in, but it's still the same state. And yeah, hopefully I've got it sorted out by then. I'll experiment without relying on it. That was the big thing. So it's been very interesting. I've had a lot of time to think. And last week before I left, the point that I was at in my Priestess journey was the actual emergence from being an initiate into actually being a priestess. And the facilitator, she spoke about how in ancient times that process of initiation actually involved the possibility of not coming out alive at the other end. So, for instance, in Egypt, you might have to swim across some water where there were crocodiles, and if it wasn't intended for you to proceed, then I guess you'd be taken down. So I'm thinking, well, this 15-day journey that I'm undertaking is possibly similar to that, because it is going through a twilight period where I'm either one thing or at one home or at another home and another way of life. And there is, in that 15-day process, being on the road majority of that time, not counting the rest days. But yeah, travelling on the road is risky business. And, I certainly plan and aim to take good care of myself and other motorists as I'm driving. But if it's intended that I don't come out on the other side, then I won't. Simple as that. So I feel that when I do arrive in Tasmania, I can fully feel initiated into this process. And I'm going to really enjoy that, and I'll celebrate that with you when I get down there. So I'm going to be staying here at my sister's place, sister number 3, daughter, I'll just say daughter number 3. And I'll be here until Monday morning. So I'll be here tonight and tomorrow night, and then take off. And so I'll probably record another video, because the videos that I'm going to be taking over the next couple of days are like private family videos, getting to meet a lot of nieces and nephews, and great nieces and nephews. And what I'd like to do is maybe to compile those at a later time, video editing, and I can't do that on these ones. These are one shot, and that's why sometimes I stumble and an R a bit, and you'll see all the faux pas. But yeah, with the personal videos, I'd really like to take some time to put them together nicely, and then distribute them to the family, and possibly with their permission. Oh, this is Big Sister being bossy again. But yeah, I won't put up anything that's sensitive or personal or embarrassing to any individuals. Not that I expected there would be much of that. Anyway, getting a bit long, making up for lost time. This is me, Marlowe Aster, marloweaster.com, remember, or facebook.com/sacredbrain. And I'll catch you on the next video, which will be in a couple of days' time. Ciao.